We're going to talk about the heart and coming home, which I know that, sometimes with intuition, we just like want to get into like the nitty gritty and we want to be able to use it and predictions and all those kind of things, which we will get to. But um, without having access to the heart, intuition is very, very hard to get access to because we are mind, body, and soul. And as we start to open that third eye, we're using parts of our consciousness. But if we don't really know how to separate our mind from our consciousness, which is also connected to the heart, then our mind is going to get in the way. So we're going to start from the heart and like move our way up to into the third eye. So it might not be like the most fun, but I promise you that it is the process. Because in a lot of this class for many of you, I hope is going to be a coming home to yourself. Because the reason I never I never thought I was going to be doing intuition. I taught a bunch of different things, and like you guys, I just developed my intuition like little by little, and I just felt called to teach them in different ways. And all of a sudden, I have this like little intuition school, which I didn't plan for at all. But the reason that I've always loved intuition is because I feel that intuition is like the voice of our truth. It's the voice of our ancestors. It's like the connection to who we really are. And many of us have grown up in either families or we've had experiences where our intuition has, been taken from us. And some of you, maybe this is your first coming home to it. Some of you maybe have been working to coming back to that. But to me, intuition was just like always the thing that I felt like I could hang on to and feel at home in a world that I didn't feel like at home in, if that makes any sense. I have super intuitive parents, but they like had to shut all of that off. And they immigrated from communist Cuba, and they just had to like make it work here. And they had no interest in me doing anything other than the straight, path. But and there wasn't a lot of talk about like emotions, and there was a lot of expression of emotions, like that hot Latina type family. But there wasn't like true expression of emotion. So all as a little girl, like, and even, as a teenager and all that, all I could hang on to was like my intuition and my knowing. Like I was always just like, well, she's saying this, but I feel something different. Like she's saying this or he is saying this, but why do I feel so sad if he sounds so confident? And that was always like a very confusing thing for me. But for whatever reason, like I just kind of stayed in that. I didn't like let that voice go away. But even though I feel like, growing up in all sorts of environments, like we're constantly being asked to give that away, to, like it's trying to be stripped of us in so many ways, right? The patriarchy is like, one of the main messages of the patriarchy is, women intuition is bad. Let's get rid of that. Let's call it like witchery. Let's call it crazy. How many times have you been called crazy by a guy or by a woman who like, that stands up for the patriarchy? And that's really like because that is the gift, right? Like, if you are in your intuition, if you're really connected to that and you're really using that, I mean, nobody has power over you. And there's so many people and groups that like want to have power over you. So to me, intuition is like the one thing that like nobody can take from us. And it's the one thing that even when the world looks crazy and even when people are telling you things that don't feel right, you can always go back to that intuition and really find yourself. So that was my own journey, because a lot of the things I have chosen have been crazy. Most of my decisions in life have been crazy decisions, crazy, but they've just really been intuitive decisions. And I love my life. So I still stand by intuition. Now, many of you are going to be coming from your different journeys from different places. Some of you can come from abusive relationships where the worst, those of us who've been with like a narcissist before, what they do is they take your intuition away. Like that is basically, that is the trauma of an abusive relationship. It's being with somebody who, just makes you feel insane so that they can continue doing their stuff and their lies and all that kind of stuff so that you don't catch on to it. And it's really sad when somebody comes out of those relationships and can't trust themselves because the trauma, the abuse is somebody constantly telling you that what you're thinking, what you're feeling is wrong. Um, I had this boyfriend once. I didn't know, like, obviously all of you, we're all naturally intuitive. I didn't know how to like use it at the time with the boyfriend, but it was, just naturally coming out of me. And when he was breaking up with me, he was like, you just like always think you know everything. And I'm like, but I think I do know, and that was, those little things are so harmful to us, because it's really easy to hear those things and be like, oh, they're right. I'm an asshole. I'm, conceited, or I'm judgmental. I think I know all these things. And sure, like intuition can totally get mixed in with judgment and fear and all these things. And hopefully we're going to, pull that apart throughout this program. But this is really a coming back to the trusting of that and the voice of that and really reclaiming it, and finding forgiveness for any of the experiences, the people that have taken it from us. And many times it's ourselves, right? It's like that time that we knew we were supposed to go somewhere, do something, take a path, and we totally ignored ourselves. And there's like a distrust that happens. So sometimes the thing that might have taken our intuition is also ourselves. So we're all going to come from different paths and different places, and we all just want to honor those paths and know that be open to the journey, to be open to what we find throughout this path, because we don't know what's going to show up. I don't know what's going to show up. It's the first time I'm doing this with you guys, but I do know that it's a remembering that we're coming to a reclaiming, and a really kind of going into ourselves. So